What was your worst dating app surprise? I signed up for eHarmony once during a particularly low period of my life. Did the personality questionnaire and was told that I was unmatchable. That was a great help for my mental health at the time. She showed up and was 7 months pregnant. No, she didn't tell me in advance. She showed up and brought her husband for backup. My mate matched with my then GF. Turns out whenever I was out of town, the town was in her. I had an Uber driver come into my workplace to pick up a parcel, see me and walk up to address me by name. I wear a name tag, so politely said hello. He said, "You don't remember me, do you?" We matched, and continued to absolutely berate me and got to the point where I had to walk away and hide in the staff area. He eventually left the store, came back after doing his delivery and hung around trying to find me until my very tall, intimidating male boss went and said something. He left immediately and we reported him. I had zero idea who this guy was, and he was good looking and definitely my type. My workmate theorized he swiped yes and I hadn't matched back, and he was a bit unhinged. If he'd approached things in a sane way, things could have been different, because I am a terrible judge of character. But luckily he let his ass hang out. We went through my few matches once I hid, and he wasn't one of them. Absolutely bizarre. We were making out in my car in a public parking lot at like 2 a.m. The cops showed up, and when they asked why we weren't home, we both lived within about a mile. He said his wife and kids were home. A date with a girl who had some incredible filters on her photos, because I didn't even recognize her. Seriously, not even close to reality. She said, "Hi, it's nice to meet you," and I looked at her, and I took a long pause before I realized who she was. A long, uncomfortable pause, long enough to convey my lack of realization that she was the girl I was meeting. Turned out to be a nice date, but she was nothing at all like her photos. On his dating profile looked emo and cool, no tooth smiling photos and a picture of his 2-year-old daughter on his shoulders. When he showed up, he looked like Cricket from Always Sunny after the gang fucked him up. Missing teeth, black and yellow for the ones he had left. His daughter was now 7 years old, so the photos were years and years out of date. Wednesday, matched with a cute guy who seems like a hopeless romantic. Then I find out about his love for young girls. He sends me a video of an 8-year-old. Said video and his number have been sent to ncmexcybertiplinates:report.cybertip.org. Met up with a guy. He brought his friend without mentioning his friend would be joining us on this date. His friend was funnier and more interesting, so I mostly talked to his friend. He got pissed and blocked me. A couple of times, I went out on a date. The pictures the women had in their profile were easily 10 years old. I mean, what's the point of lying? We will meet eventually. I slept with a girl and afterward she told me she's engaged, but her fiancé was currently in prison, but he'd be out soon. Matched with a guy that was mid-30s with very funny, quirky pictures of him at various Comic Cons and a few funny pictures of his travels. Very much a Kevin Smith type, which I'm into. The conversation was fun and interesting, never a dull moment. Finally met up and there's zero personality, zero chemistry, long silences, and all he did was stare at me like a serial killer. It was like pulling teeth getting him to speak. I asked him if he wasn't into me and said I wouldn't be offended. It happens, I get it, we can just go our separate ways or we could just be friends. He said no, that he thought I was attractive, but still never said anything unless I pulled it out of him. I still don't understand how that happened. I went on a date with a girl. She looked beautiful, just like her profile. Had a great time, laughing, talking about life, it was awesome. Then right before I dropped her off at her place she turns to me and says, "Just so you know, I'm a lesbian. I don't date men and I'm not attracted to men physically. I would like to have sex with you just to make sure." Huh. I was insulted, flattered, and honored all at the same time. Then she told me she was currently in a 3-year relationship with a woman and she didn't know about this. He came in wearing a cloak and there was nothing underneath. I thought that happened in the movies only, but nope. Nervously dipped my toe into the apps a year and a half after my divorce, and then was almost immediately liked by my former marriage counselor. I felt violated. He broke it off before we met fair and then blocked me, okay, and then came to my apartment? I live in an area where you'd know if you lived close by, but usually people do not try and find me, especially after leaving. Guy showed up looking nothing like his pics and proceeded to talk only about himself for hours, totally clueless, needless to say, no second date. Matched with someone who looked nothing like their pictures and had zero personality in real life. Total letdown.